It's week 23 of the golfing calendar. And fresh off the golf course, one righty and one lefty who's fast becoming a righty, Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen. Live from the Australian Golf Centre, home of the PGA of Australia and Golf Australia, this is the most listened to Australian golf podcast. Talk birdie to me.
I want to ask you something because word has filtered back to me that you are going around changing people's putting from left-handed to right-handed, from right-handed to left-handed. Now, you've done it successfully. You're still hitting the ball left-handed when you're Nick O'Hearn, soon to be Nick O'Who with a right-handed handicap.
Correct.
Have you tried to change somebody again today?
Well, no, I changed him a while ago.
Who is it?
So I played in the Pro-Am with him down at the National, the last event of the season that we commentated on.
Yeah,
I was down there. And so we had three lefties and a right-hander in our group because the third lefty was Elvis. Because Elvis is an ambassador.
What a group.
Elvis is an ambassador.
Who was the right-hander? He would have...
Gary Lisbon.
I know.
Member. Yeah. Anyway, I tried.
One of the best photographers in world golf.
He
Gary Lisbon.
is.
He's a star.
Yeah. So after a while, I was watching, funnily enough, both Gary and Wolfgang where they're putting. Wolfgang, I thought, you're right-handed, aren't you, doing one-handed things like me? And he said, yes, I am, because he was struggling with his left-handed putting. Yeah. So I got him to hit a few putts with my putter, and all of a sudden it looked fantastic. So I've kept in touch with Wolfgang and said, look, let's try and get your putting going and all this. I helped him out here at Sandy a little while ago, just on the putting green. We caught up one night. And then we were chatting the other day, and he said, well, let's have a game this morning. And I thought, perfect. Now I can witness it in full flow out on the golf course.
You're like a Harry.
It was brilliant. He putted beautifully. He only had 1 3-putt. And on Royal Melbourne East, 1 3-putt is very impressive.
You're like a Hare Krishna. You're unbelievable.
I'm converting left-handers one at a time.
Did you get Gary Lisbon as well? I sensed that you tried or thought about it.
I said to him, again, he looked better with the left-handed putter, but he's not taking the full commitment. Good. Whereas Wolfgang, he's all in. It's great.
Okay. Well, look, you don't have to, folks. You don't have to. Can I tell you about my Sunday?
Please do.
My Sunday, I play golf in the morning. Really cold day. Get inside, everyone in the clubhouse watching the TV. The TV was the Foxtel highlights package of the third round of the LPGA tournament. And basically, it was the Rose Zhang show. And all they were showing were basically her best shots, and the entire clubhouse was watching this girl play in her first professional event. She spent 141 weeks as the number one amateur in the world, which is a record. And my God, you alerted to me. You alerted me, I think it was on Friday. And you sent me, just have a look at this swing.
Yeah.
It is, like, I know we say this about a lot of people, but I've never seen a swing like this, ever. It's silk, it's powerful.
It's straight up and down the line.
It's perfect.
It's wide.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing I notice is the width of the golf swing.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of a Adam Scottish in a way.
Sort of, yeah.
But I watched that third round and 6 birdies, no bogeys, and she drove that 16th green. Did you see that?
Yeah,
I
did with the driver. 4? The entire clubhouse had their tongues hanging out watching that shot. She missed the eagle putt.
Missed the eagle, yeah.
And she seemed to miss a lot of putts, actually, in that third round. I mean, it could have been anything.
Oh, it was pretty scary.
To finish the story, she goes on to win the event in a playoff. In the last round, doesn't make a birdie, makes a couple of bogeys. I think the first hole was about the third hole and the last hole.
Like that, yeah.
Something like that. We better talk about Jennifer Kupcho as well, who shot 16 on the last day, hold the shot, did very well, but it was almost like she wasn't there because everybody was barracking for the story of this girl winning. We talk about, you put her up against Minjee Lee, who I've said on this so many times that she's got the best golf swing I've ever seen. There's so many girls who swing the club incredibly well that I've said this is the best golf swing I've ever seen. But
there's a new contender.
This one's the best golf swing I've ever seen. It really is. It's a joke. And to see the power as well. I mean, in the last round, I think she was leading by one shot at the time when she played that 16th hole, and this time she just hit a little 3-wood off, chipped it to about 4 feet, missed that putt as well. Just this one went low. I think the eagle putt went high. Is that right? Don't know. something
the
like
eagle
that.
putt went, I think, missed low, I think.
Missed low, okay.
Yeah.
They
I'm
both
not sure.
missed low.
I didn't see that one on 16 today. I did catch the
It
playoff.
certainly missed low in the last round. But isn't it fun? Isn't it fun when there's someone new like this who just turns up from nowhere? It's just brilliant to watch.
I hate to tell you, Mark, but it's not from nowhere.
It is from nowhere.
That is the one thing I told you. I said,
nowhere.
Okay. She only has been ranked. I'm going to give you. I looked
just
up
said
a couple of stats.
141 weeks in a row.
142 actually.
Oh, there
she
you go.
won the Augusta National Women's Amateur.
Yeah,
right.
and
She's won the US Amateur.
Yeah, she won the NCAA.
NCAA. She's won. Okay, get this. 10. She's played in her last 12 stroke play events, including this. She's won 10 times.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, that is just incredible. She's the first person to win on pro debut in 72 years.
That's where my point is, that she's come from nowhere, because this just doesn't happen.
There has been huge anticipation about her turning pro for the last couple of years.
But you don't just turn up and win.
You
can't beat Minjee Lee.
She's basically been a pro the last year or two anyway, playing these high-ranking college events. They are incredibly tough now, the college system. Plus, she's been playing pro events already.
Here's my point.
You go.
Here's my point. I was sitting in a clubhouse full of people who didn't have a clue who she was.
Fair call.
So for you and me, we get it. She's kind of been there.
Yeah.
But for everybody else in that clubhouse, they're like, who's this Zhang girl, Mark? Where's she come from? Blah, 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 blah. So you get what I mean.
I do get
For so many of us who watch casually, I'll speak for them, they didn't know who she was.
No,
they did not have a clue.
The other thing, how good was it, by the way, when she finished, and this is going to become a regular thing with her if she continues to win. There was kids around there, her fans, her family. They all brought out roses rather than spraying the champagne.
So much better.
Rather than spraying the champagne, they brought out roses and gave it to her. How good is that?
That is so good
for Rose Zhang.
You know, I've watched that. I've watched that a lot. And if I ever won somewhere and then I got drenched, I don't think, I'd probably go, it's great, I've won, but I don't know.
Would you jump in the water like they do in a couple of
tournaments? If it's a tradition, you jump in the water. Yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah.
But the spraying of the water and just tipping water on someone's head because they won, I'm kind of finished with that.
It's a tough one. You know, the other thing I noticed about the event, which was fantastic, and they're copying us here in Australia, is they had an AJGA event running at the same time. So they had an amateur girl, a junior, playing in the groups with the pros.
Yeah, isn't that good?
They're copying us. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is quite remarkable that we're leading the way in so many events.
We do it in the TPX WebEx series, right?
Yeah, and that has worked a treat.
Is that right? TP something?
Yeah, that's it.
The WebEx series, yeah.
The WebEx series. No, we're dominating down here. The mixed tournaments, the whole lot, doing really well. Denny McCarthy, I thought he was going to win. Viktor Hovland.
We should mention the Aussie girls, by the way, who played in that event.
Please go. Steph
Kuriaku,
thank you.
By the way. Yeah, tied 10th, third round 65, brilliant. Minjee Lee, I thought she was going to rock on with it.
Yep.
She was second round leader, faded over the weekend, so tied for 13th. And Grace Kim as well, tied for 43rd. Sorry, keep going.
No, that's all right. Denny McCarthy, did you watch any of the...
I caught the last couple of holes again.
So he's the number 11 putter. He has been for a long, long time. But my God, when he needed his putter to get out of trouble this time around, I think he made 3 really big saves in a row, and I thought, here we go, he's going to march to victory. It just seemed like Viktor Hovland was just sitting in the wings waiting for him to make par in the last. It didn't work.
Such a tough closing hole. Such a tough closing hole.
Yeah, tell me about it, because it looks, the drive that McCarthy hit on the 72nd, it didn't look like it was that bad.
No, it hit it up the left.
Yeah.
You just got to hit a little buttercut fade for a right-hander. If you don't fade it, unfortunately, there's creek waiting for you. That thick rough never used to be that thick when I played there. So the ball would always just go into the creek. Yeah. Normally that ball's in the creek.
Yeah,
but
well,
the
rough saved him, for sure.
Which I don't like. I think they should just shave it down again.
Yeah, I reckon.
If you hit it left, you're in the creek. Take your drop.
I would much prefer that too, Nick. That's much better.
Absolutely.
That's what the creek's there for.
They love growing the rough up. But anyway, and if you flare it right in the bunkers over that, you're just dead over there. And there's a massive backstop at the 18th green. You've got Jack there waiting for you. Did you see the crowds? How big they were?
Amazing. Really good.
They were 50 deep on 18. It was
really
incredible. But great win by Hovland.
Yep.
I mean, I tell you what, he's looking for the US Open coming up. But McCarthy, that was a tough one. He's made 18 of 22 cuts this year. That's impressive golf.
That is
and
impressive.
No one's again, have you heard of him?
No, and he's made he's had a second. Well, now he's had a second, a 4th, a 6th, and an 8th. Easy to remember, all the evens. So he's a name to watch. But I saw something that he does with his golf swing that I think will help a lot of people. I think it's my turn for the masterclass.
Oh, okay.
So hang around for that.
I did see him tee off a couple of times.
Yeah, I like his footwork. I'll explain more. I'll explain more later.
Yeah, it's a good action. Did you see Billy Horschel earlier in the week as well when he shot 84?
Yep.
That was a tough one.
So he's the defending champion, and because he's the defending champion, not often you get someone who shoots 84 has to come in, but because you're the defender, you're asked to come in, and he did so, and he couldn't speak through fear of crying. I'll put it that way.
Yep.
He thought he was going to absolutely burst open,
It
I
was
reckon.
a tough one.
And he held back and watery eyes. And it's funny, because when I look at Billy Horschel play, I look at just when he actually starts moving, because it takes him a while.
Especially putters.
Especially the putting.
Kind of edges in there, doesn't he?
There's so much going on in that head of scone of his, isn't there? I mean,
it certainly is.
You don't want to call it, but, I mean, if you're going to call someone just getting paralysis by analysis, he'd be a contender, for sure. But when you actually just physically watch him swing, I mean, when he won in last year at Wentworth. When he won at Wentworth, was it last year? I think he did.
It was.
Or the year before. He's so solid, so strong, so, nothing's out of place. Everything's perfect when he finally swings the club.
Yeah.
But it just feels like before every shot, he's almost second-guessing everything. That's what it looks like from the outside looking in.
Yeah, there's a lot of data, I guess, being computed in the brain, and there's a lot of little tics and mannerisms he has to get out the way. It's almost a bit like watching a cricketer, when they're over the crease and they're fixing their pads and they're
talking
grabbing
about our ex-captain.
Exactly.
Yes.
But there's so much going on in that regard in his brain. But when he won in Wentworth, he's a West Ham United fan, so they loved him over there in Europe. So hopefully he'll get his game back. I'm sure he will. It won't take time. He's had one heck of a record, and future's bright for Billy. Don't worry about it. He's a lovely guy, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. So it was great that he did that interview. I was pretty disappointed again, unfortunately, with Jason Day. First, he's a member there at Memorial. Murfield Village, and he only plays there 1 week a year, and that's this week. So preparation-wise, I think he needs to up it a little bit after not playing Oak Hill at the PGA. I know I'm getting on Jason a bit here, but and he's had a heck of a year. But
you're not going to go. It's just you would do things differently.
Yeah, I would.
If I was
suppose
Jason,
so.
I would do things differently. I think most people watching on would probably do things differently, and there's nothing wrong with saying that, Nick, and particularly someone with a record like yours.
Okay, we spoke about Rose Zhang.
Yeah, okay. I want to ask you something. I'm glad you've circled back, but I wonder if you're going to ask me the same thing I'm going to ask you.
Well, possibly.
Go on.
She was the number one amateur, on the female side.
Yep.
Now, on the men's side, we've had the first that it's ever happened, PGA Tour University rankings, and they gave a full card to the number one NCAA player.
That's right.
And how good's this name? Ludwig Aberg.
Yeah, that's right.
You know about him?
Yeah, well, he went to Texas Tech, where I went to.
Was that what you're thinking I was going to ask you about?
No, it's not. But things have certainly changed. I told you about him a couple of episodes ago, and Steve Long, who's one of the short game coaches over there, told me he was offered, and I'm going to tell you,
a lot.
10 million a year times 4 to go to live. And he said no. I think I mentioned that last time.
You mentioned a lot of money, but you didn't say how much.
10 million a year times 4, and he said no.
No.
He wants to be a PGA Tour player and win majors.
Well, as we said, are you playing for history or for money? So, interesting call coming up with him, though. He's Swedish, Ryder Cup team. He would be a great captain's pick. I know he's unproven on the professional side, but I'm fascinated by the next 2-3 months because there's still a way off for the Ryder Cup as to what he can do in PGA Tour events and European events, DP World Tour events, because he has to be a DP World member to be on the European team. So look out. We're going to keep a close eye on that one.
It's interesting. I saw Rory this week. He was talking about Brooks and said, Brooks should get on the US team in the Ryder Cup.
Sure.
But he said none of the other players should. Now, I'm trying to think, was he saying that because he doesn't want them there, or was he saying that because of form? And when you look at them, none of the Europeans are playing well in live golf, are they? It seems to be the American
might
winning
have
every
won
week.
something a little while ago or was up there, but again, none of the Europeans are playing that well.
Would you pick Sergio, considering his record? I think he's won more matches than anybody else. If he hasn't won more matches than anyone else, he's very close to it.
If I was Luke Donald,
Yeah.
after what Sergio called the DP World Tour, no chance in hell.
Yeah, it's actually a very, very good point.
Because, well, you know what? If you look back on the records, I won't say what he said, but it was this tour is basically crap, and you should have taken the money, etc., and that's terrible by Sergio. No need.
That's been the big sticking point for so many people, hasn't it? The people who went to live, filled their pockets with cash, and then went back with cheapies to both tours. It's no good.
It's no good. Speaking of Rory, by the way, a young player on the DP World Tour won his first tournament at the European Open in Hamburg, Germany. Yeah. Tom McKibben, who is from, Hollywood, Northern Ireland.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Where Rory McIlroy grew up.
And, that's great.
Playing his golf. So same course. This is his maiden victory on the DP World Tour, and he just graduated off the Challenge Tour. So just a bit of a Rory connection there.
Speaking about Rory too, he hit off in the last group. I mean, he was leading after 3 rounds, bogeyed both the par 5s and the front 9, and then I think 3 bogeys in a row, somewhere on the back 9 chasing it. A lot of pressure on Rory.
There is.
You know, he's sort of, a lot of people looking at him going, well, he's the mouthpiece for the PGA Tour versus Live as far as the players are concerned, because Tiger's not playing anymore. So, of course, as soon as he walks into the press, they want to throw these questions because they know that's how you're going to get a story and all the rest of it.
Can I give a little? This is not a masterclass, but I'm going to give my 2 cents worth on Rory and what he should be doing from my perspective, watching him play. He's obviously one of the best players in the world, right? When he plays his best golf, you see him bouncing down the fairway. He's got that strut, the walk. He's a very athletic, a very reactive person, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
When he gets over the golf ball, he has 2 to 3 too many looks at the target. Same with putting. If he got over the ball, took 1 or 2 looks and then fired, that would be fascinating to watch, because he takes 4 or 5 looks, and for me, he loses all that reactivity, that athleticism. It's still an incredible golf swing, trust me, but I'd be fascinated if he just took shorter time over the ball.
Remember when Sergio Garcia was having 13 waggles at a time?
The regrips.
Do you know how he got? Do you know how he fixed it? I'm aware of this. So what he would do is he would do the big waggle, put the club down, then he would look at the hole.
Yep.
And because he's doing that, he's not moving all of a sudden. His body's not moving. So he'd have to move the body. So then he would look back down at the ball and start moving again.
Yep.
And he ended up getting in this vicious cycle that you don't. So in the end, and he still does it to this day, and I'm fascinated. I'm like you. I love pre-shot routines is my life.
Oh, yeah.
I love watching them no matter what. So to this day, how he got out of it was he waggles as he looks at the hole. He waggles when he's looking at the hole, then he puts it back down, and then he goes.
Yeah, and then he reacts.
Because he's spending less time still.
Yeah, there you go. It's a moving game.
It is a moving game. You are exactly right.
Yep.
Even you've heard me talk about the putting. I love watching the bouncing. I love watching the feet moving. Yep. You love the head coming back down the line, and then the putter almost goes back straight away. It's a beautiful. I've never heard anyone say that. It is a moving game.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Okay, this is your masterclass this week, but next week I'm going to do one on a little. I'm going to show people my swing and how I dance, and it's a little dance that I have when I swing. I got the waggle, the dance.
Why don't you do a bonus? I'll do one and you do one.
We'll do something anyway.
Because I always like doing the masterclass on something that we see. And here's this guy, Denny McCarthy, and I just love. Anyway, I saw his footwork.
Okay.
So this is my circle back.
Yes, let's get back to
Zhang.
Rose.
So she hits it into the bunker, the fairway trap on the last hole.
72nd hole.
The 72nd hole.
Because she did in the playoffs as well.
That's right. Anyway, 72nd hole, she's in the bunker. The course commentator said she can get a 9-iron out of it, maybe an 8-iron. Okay. Anyway, there's a bit of a hold up and then it comes back and she's got a 5-iron.
I know, I heard that.
She's got a 5-iron, okay. Now, it was only 164 yards to the pin. I'm asking was it a professional fat shot?
I think...
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Because
I think she did chunk it a fraction.
I'm asking, because I've done that in the past where I'm thinking, now listen, I'm going to open this up a little bit. I'll err on just getting the club underneath. And if I don't, it'll get to the green. If I do, it'll go a lot further than my 9-iron will go.
Yes.
If I decide just to hit the 9-iron.
What do you reckon?
Surprised
she took the 5. I was thinking 7 at the most.
Yeah.
Not even a 6. And then if you hit the 7 nice, you're going to be on the green because it's only 140 yards to the front of the green.
140. It was 164
to the hole.
To the hole.
Yeah, but the pin was a long way back.
That's right.
And she hit the 5, and it came up 5 or 10 yards short.
Correct.
So it was a slight chunk, yes, as you say.
So I reckon...
but that's a high-risk shot,
Oh,
because if she leaves it in the bunker, it's almost tournament over.
Well, that's right.
I tell you, and I noticed the other thing, the putt she hit on the 72nd hole to the one she hit in the playoff, exactly the same putt. If anyone wants to go back and watch it, you will notice her head come up fractionally early on the one on the 72nd hole. It was still a good putt, but you look at the head compared to the one in the playoff, the head stayed down longer and she made it.
The second playoff hole, the hybrid that she hit in.
Oh, yes.
My God.
That was impressive.
It must have been getting cold. By the way, every player...
You were talking about hybrids the other week.
Yeah, that's right.
Everyone should have them.
Well, they should. They should. A lot of players should have them.
I wish I had them this morning.
It must have been a bit cold because... if you
she had 175 yards, I think, on that shot.
It had a hybrid.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you weren't wearing a hoodie in that particular tournament, you weren't one of the cool kids. I mean, every single player was wearing a hoodie. Are you a hoodie guy?
I'm not. No, not on the golf course.
No way.
I'll throw it going onto the gym or something, but not on the golf course.
Doesn't
I
feel
find
right.
it flaps around everywhere as well. So,
have you tried it? Yeah, I've tried it. Just gets in the way.
Yeah, on a public golf course, I've used it just for a bit of fun when I was wearing tracksuit pants.
Right, yeah. It just gets in the way. Righto, so it's time to get to the turn. I'll see you on the 10th tee. We've got a top 5 to get to, a masterclass. We've got tweets to the editor, and we've got a caller again this week, Ali. So we'll get to Ali pretty soon.
Like the podcast? Oh, maybe tell a friend. Drop them a text or share it on your socials. This is Talk Birdie with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
Righto, Nick, I want to see you playing right-handed on this back 9, but you just had one little result that we missed before.
Yes.
Yeah, what was it?
Epsom Tour. We're following that closely with
are.
Gabby Ruffles, obviously leading the race for the card. But Robin Choi and Cassie Porter both finished tied 4th.
Oh, good.
So that's a really good result in the Champions for Change Invitational, won by Alina Sharp. But Hira Naveed tied 9th and Gabby was tied 14th. So some really good play from the young women from Australia.
Okay, we've got a top 5 to get to, a masterclass, and also tweets to the editor. But we've also got a caller this week, Harley Snelson. He's from, what golf course are you from again, Harley?
I am from Rockingham Golf Club in Perth, Western Australia.
Well, welcome, mate. Welcome to the podcast, and thanks for some of the questions and things. And you wanted to talk to Nick about something.
I did indeed. I was just wondering, Nick, with obviously you're a left-handed golfer like myself. There's not enough lefties in the game. I was just wondering, with your right-handed golf handicap, how are you going with that? Are you going to get that officially out there, and what's the goal moving forward with that?
Thank you for that. Well, it's funny, I was converted another left-handed to right-handed putting. We were talking about that a little bit earlier.
You are a Hare Krishna.
I'm sorry, Mark. I couldn't help it. I will be registering that fairly shortly. That'll be good. So it'll be under Nick O'Who. Because I have to use a different name, obviously. But the goal is to get down to single figures. I'll probably be shooting in the mid to high 80s to begin with, and I'll just keep working away at it.
Harley, I got a question on your behalf. Are you going to try and win the B grade club championship somewhere, right-handed, or what are you going to try and do?
I could do that.
Because you'll be an amateur, won't you?
Yes, I will be right-handed and amateur.
You'll be an amateur right-handed and a pro left-handed. I don't mind it.
Yeah. But you're from...
That is awesome.
So, Harley, you play down, obviously, in the southwest there of WA. Where have you been playing lately?
Yeah, so I am currently a scratch handicapper. I played the Southwest Open Pro-Am down at Bunbury Golf Club. Have you ever played Bunbury? I know you're a WA legend.
I certainly have. The Clifton Park Golf Club. I'm going to tell you, I won the Southwest Open 1 year.
Of course you did.
1 year I was leading going into the final round, shot 78, learnt my lesson and won it the following year. So I love that golf course. Interestingly, both 9s start with a par 3, I think. Is that right, Harley?
That's unusual.
They do.
Do they start with a par 3?
Yeah, the first is about 145 metres it played, and then the 10th is 100 and, I think it played 111 metres for the second round straight downhill, but tricky course. That's the first time I've gone down there and played it, and yeah, it was a bit of a learning curve for myself. It's a tricky course.
And Harley, I'll just have a quick look at your Twitter page while we've got you on. You've got a golf podcast yourself?
Yeah, so me and a couple of friends, we've got one based in Stratford-upon-Avon in England, and then my brother is also on the golf podcast. What we do is we call Better Golf Tips, and we provide hopefully winning tips each week on the PGA Tour. We're actually going through a hugely successful year. We've picked the last 4 major winners in a row, and then the last 3 tournament winners, with Viktor Hovland obviously landing last night for our Harry White Better Golf Tips podcaster. So, yeah, we're going through a hugely successful week. So, yeah, I just thought it'd be great to come on, talk to you guys. I'm a huge fan of the pod.
Well, we'll give you a little run here. We've got a US Open coming up at LA Country Club, and we've got a women's US Open coming up not long after at Pebble Beach. Have you done your form yet? Because if you have and you go well, this could be the start of something beautiful.
Yeah, it's a huge one. Obviously, a lot of people are on Max Homer for that one. He's Mr. LA at the moment. He wins pretty much every tournament in LA. I'm looking at an Aussie as well for the British Open, actually, a local Perth boy called Minwoo Lee, 67-1. Could be getting a mention for the Open Championship.
Yeah, well, I'll never forget Tiger Woods, his victory at Royal Liverpool. The week before, he hit the driver as bad as he ever has in his entire life at Chicago. The next week, Steve Williams said, well, we're not taking the driver at all. He hit 2 iron. I think he hit 1 driver for the week, and he hit 2 iron everywhere else and won the tournament by 1,000,000 miles. And I reckon Minwoo Lee, with the way he hits the ball, if he can get that stinger of his going around Royal Liverpool, you may well be right. Can I give my tips, an early tip, please? Patrick Cantlay plays a hell of a lot of golf at LA Country Club. He's going to win a big one at some stage, so he'd be there. And what I've seen of Rose Zhang, if her game isn't just tailor-made to what's happening at Pebble Beach, then I'm not here. So they're my 2 tips for what it's worth.
Well, I'll give you mine while I'm here.
Yeah, go on.
Scotty, I mean, it's not hard. Scotty Scheffler, that short game. A lot of people are going to be on Viktor Hovland, but I don't think his chipping is going to be up to standard around LA Country Club because they're going to shave the grass around the greens. He's good out of long grass, but short grass, I don't know yet. That'll be my tick for the men's, and for the women's, I'm going to go Minjee Lee.
Minjee Lee. Oh, that'd be nice.
Minjee Lee. Great shout.
Good on you. Thank you so much. Good luck. What's that podcast name again?
Better Golf Tips. You can follow us on Instagram, and then we're also on Twitter as well.
Good on you, Harley.
Brilliant.
Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, guys.
Right, let's get straight to tweets to the editor. Nick, we're going to start with Mike Waite. Now, that's Sponge, isn't it?
It's Sponge. Yeah, we missed him out on our top 5 last week, unfortunately, for the best caddies' names.
Now, can I ask you, why do they call him Sponge? I always had in my head that he used to borrow money. Is that right or not?
No, I don't think it is. You always go down the money route.
It's defamatory almost.
Wow.
Sorry.
No,
sorry,
apologise to Sponge. No, I believe it was from, he was out caddying one day, and it poured with rain, and his hair got completely, wet and everything, but you couldn't tell. So his hair just absorbed it like a sponge.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's where the nickname came from.
He always had a bit of a hair helmet, didn't he? He had so much hair.
I reckon it could be an afro if he really grew it out. So.
Poor old Sponge is getting lined up here.
What does Sponge say? Anyway, have we even spoken?
Oh, yeah. What did he say? Hello, Nick and Mark. I hope you guys are well. I enjoyed listening to your show. That's great.
Genuinely
Thanks,
he's genuinely one of the best blokes you've ever met, Sponge.
And the other thing he does is he makes these amazing bar stools out of golf bags.
Yes, he does.
I've got one myself. He made one for me. It's brilliant.
Yeah, so he gets the old tour bags and turns them
into a bar stool.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're on Twitter, you can find, and you want one of these bags made, he'd do one for you. You can contact him at Sponge, SPONGE, Waite, WAITE. Get in contact with him. I bet he's got a few pictures of him on his Twitter page, and you'll see what we're talking about. Findlay, 47. This is Matt. Love the pod, brother. Good on you. That's very nice. Bob Estes. Now, this is close to your one, Nick. We've spoken about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago, but go on.
No, I knew Bob quite well when I was on the PGA Tour, and his caddy, Chuck. Sad news, Bob says. After my round today, I received a text message from Chuck's wife, Karen, that he passed away in his sleep at 2:30 this morning. Been struggling with complications post-surgery about 2 months ago, and he goes on to say, rest in peace, Chuck. Now, Chuck was one of the nicest guys out there. He was an incredible caddy, and Bob, I tell you, he was a heck of a player. One thing about Bob, though, that I did notice over the years, whenever he teed the ball up, and I'm saying this in a nice way, Bob, by the way, if you listen.
Of course he is.
Yeah, of course he is. If you ever watched him tee a ball up, it was like watching a dog trying to find a spot to take a leak. It was one of those scenarios. He'd go into different parts of the tee box and try and find an area. It was quite fascinating.
Can I tell you, when I got to Texas Tech, and Texas Tech's getting a bit of run on this podcast, probably too much, Bob Estes and...
He was a legend there, wasn't he?
He was a superstar. He was the rock star of college golf at that stage. I got to play with him once in my second year, and he was doing it back then. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And he's a no-glove player as well.
Yes, no glove.
No glove.
Very rare. Freddie Couples.
And Lucas Glover.
Lucas
Glover never wore a glove.
That's crazy.
What an absolute joke. Peter Coulson, what does he say?
Peter Coulson, let's see. Episode 10, you talk about Rory's second withdrawal from an elevated event this year. And he's given us the question, do some pros play bad to miss cuts on purpose given they are forced to play so much?
No.
I can hands down tell you, Peter, I actually did reply to this tweet and I said, absolutely not. No, you never, that's never in a golfer's wheelhouse because they'll be grinding because they might learn something for the following week, even if they know they're going to miss the cut by 10.
Yeah, that is exactly right. They'll be trying things. They'll be doing things. They'll be doing their best. They might not practice as much, or they might just, if they're cooked, they might just go home to the hotel and have a snooze. There's plenty of that going on.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
If you're cooked, but not much else. And Daniel Crawford, now, serious question. What happened to Bads? Followed him back when he was winning out here, and he was a gun, that is true, when he won the Aussie Open back-to-back. No, I don't think I'd ever seen a better swing. But by the way, get ready for a top 5 that has got something to do with best swings. He had a great life on tour. He had about 6 kids these days too, Daniel. Always felt he never got to his potential. He's asking the question why, I imagine.
Well, the PGA of Australia, which is very nice since we're in the Golf Australia, well, what do we call it? We're in headquarters here, aren't
Australian
we?
Golf Headquarters.
That's the one, yes. PGA of Australia said he's far from done, Aaron Bads, and he wants full playing rights on the PGA Tour. He leads Aussies on tour this week, which was a little while ago when we made that tweet.
It was a bit of a shame. When he was with Dale Lynch, I know he was knocking on the door of Butch Harmon, and Butch, for whatever reason, wasn't so keen to work with Bads. I don't know whether he had a full book or what happened there. Then he went, I think he was knocking on Hank's door. Then I reckon he went stack and tilt there for a little while.
He went to Ledbetter to begin with, I think. That was the one which unfortunately might have... David Ledbetter, he's been a great coach over the years, but he has... led some players down the wrong path at the same time.
Some players.
So it works for some, it works for the others. I know who you're going to talk about. Go on.
Well, I was going to say, what he had Lydia Ko doing there for a little while, I couldn't believe.
Michelle Wee.
Yeah. Ty, a 17-year-old who won the
Ty Tryon. Yes, true.
There's another one.
But then you're right with Bads. He went down the stack and tilt method, and that was very interesting to watch. But again, for me, if he'd have stuck with Dale, you'd be saying it'd almost be like if Tiger stuck with Butch. What would have happened? That would be fascinating.
Hang on, let's answer that question. Okay. We'll never know.
I know we'll never know.
I'm going to answer it for you. If Tiger stuck with Butch Harmon, he would have won 28 majors.
28. Big call.
He would have won 10 more than Jack. I'd never seen anything like that. His swing, what was the US Open that he won at Pebble Beach?
Yep.
That's the best golf
2000.
that's ever been played ever in the history of the game, and I don't care who's. You can't. I don't think you can argue against the golf he played that week.
No, he won the Tiger Slam that year when he won the 4 majors in a row, but it wasn't in the calendar year.
And a Players' Championship. And a Players.
So I reckon he would have. I'm thinking he would have got to 20 majors because he would have passed Jack, and then the motivation might have waned a little bit. So that's my call. But 28, fair call.
I reckon 28. I don't think he would have got injured.
We'll never know.
I don't think he would have got injured. I don't think he would have gone to the. I always keep on hearing this stuff that when he went to Hank wanted him to be super strong, so he didn't have to, so he could better not release through the ball.
He always used to get stuck, is what I found. Watching him when he was with Hank and those guys, got a bit laid off. And yeah. Now he's swinging it great, by the way. Just his body just won't cooperate, unfortunately.
I agree. It's kind of butchy sort of action again. But I always loved his release. When he was with Butch, I just felt his release was so free. Sometimes you salivate when you see someone hit the golf ball and you know they're just not thinking much. It's just so beautiful what they're doing. He had that look for a long time.
Well, I lived at Isleworth. I played on the same course he practiced at. I saw him on the range a lot, and to watch him hit drivers and hit these long irons on the range, beautiful high draws. I almost, would just wish I'd go home just because I didn't want to watch it anymore.
Yeah.
It was that impressive.
Yeah.
It was so good to watch.
Yeah, if you've been lucky enough to watch him warm up at close range, it is ridiculous, that look. Anyway, time for the top 5. And I think it's my turn. I don't know how I'm doing the top 5 and I'm doing the masterclass this week.
I did it last week. I did the top 5 and the masterclass.
I thought if you were doing the top 5, then I would do it. Anyway, we'll work it out. My top 5 greatest ever women's golf swings.
Oh, we got to do it.
Yeah.
Well, you've every time you've said, this is the greatest swing I've ever seen, so I want to know who your great ones are.
Can I tell you, everybody on this list I've said has had the best swing I've ever seen. All right,
It changes every week.
It does. Okay.
So, I was only made aware of number 5, I think, this time last year, but the power...
I probably told you.
You probably did. Lynn Grant is my number 5. Now, think about that. Lynn Grant's number 5.
That's scary.
On this list. So think of the swings we're about to talk about.
She was played amazing in the match play last week. We haven't seen much of her because she's been playing Europe and hasn't been able to come over because of the vaccination rules. So.
Was Lynn Grant the first woman to win a mixed event?
Yes, I think she was.
That's the first time I ever saw her swing. And
I think it was the Stenson one, wasn't it?
Something like
Stenson.
that, yeah. Anyway, I couldn't believe what I was seeing then. The noise. They had this... They had on all the social media her hitting these drives in amongst the pines somewhere along the way, and the noise was incredible. Anyway, Lynn Grant's my number 5. Number 4, if you're watching a lot of golf on Fox Sports at the moment, every once in a while you'll see Nelly Korda's swing, and just from the top down.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen this? It might even come in a Drummond ad or something, I don't know. But the shaft is on the way down, and it's on the same line the whole way. It's like if you got a ruler out and drew a line where a shaft was at the top, the shaft would never leave that line all the way to the bottom. You've got to see this ad.
That is impressive.
You've got to see this ad. I've never seen anything like it.
She's been coached by Jonathan Yarwood at the moment, isn't she?
That's right.
Yeah,
I think Jonathan Yarwood for a long time.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
So, hang on. You've gone Lynn Grant and Nelly Korda. Yeah. These next 3 must be unbelievable.
Yeah, well, they are. They are. Minjee.
Oh, okay.
Minjee Lee.
Finally, we got her in there.
We got it. We had to.
Minjee Lee.
Oh, she was never going to get left out. Good. And I've been saying that she's got the best swing I've ever seen for a long time as well. This is a blast from the past, but it shouldn't surprise anybody who knows their golf. Mickey Wright.
Oh, yes.
Sneaks in there. Now, you'll only ever see her swing in black and white, real sort of action.
Yep.
And it is one of the best. I think Ben Hogan might have even said it's one of the best swings that he's ever seen. So he had 2.
Male or female, I think.
Yeah, that's right. So he had Mickey Wright, and he also had Mo Norman. Was his other one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he loved Mo Norman.
Yeah.
I think we all love Mo. We've got to have a Mo Norman show at some stage.
We should.
Just get. You know who we should get? We should get a Canadian on our program who knows. And I've got the Canadian.
Okay.
To get on our show to talk about Mo Norman.
All right.
I won't say his name in case he won't go on. But I'll see if I can get him because I know he's got some great Mo Norman stories. And my number 1 is very simple. Rose Zhang, the best golf swing I've ever seen.
Well
done.
What you said earlier, it had to be.
Hey, it's time for the masterclass. I can't believe I'm doing 2 in a row, but it doesn't matter. We've got to fix this. We've got to go back in sync to where if you're doing the top 10, I'm doing the masterclass.
Okay, well, next week's my masterclass. You can do the top
and I'll
5
do the top 5 again.
Yeah, we'll do it that way. But I'm fascinated by what you took out of Denny McCarthy's swing.
Well, one of the things I've been watching, and you spoke about Jonathan Yarwood a second ago. He talks about this move when at the change of direction, and it's almost like your hips are backing in to the shot, and that gives your arms room to come down in front. Now, it's funny in golf. I've watched golf a lot. Some people have this magical right arm move if you're a right-hander where the elbow just comes down in front of the stomach, and it's just so easy from that point forward. Now, not everyone's got that move, and it's a hard move. If you don't have it naturally, it's a hard move to practice. So I think if you don't have the right elbow coming down in front, then you've got to make way for your arms to come down. So many golfers, I played with two, and I gave them this tip on the Sunday that I told you about before we got inside and watched Rose Zhang. What happens is their heel comes, the very first thing they do is their heel comes off the ground straight away, and their right leg and their right side get in the way of their arms, and they get, the commonly called stuck these days. We used to call it spinning out when I was a kid.
So the right knee goes out a bit.
The right knee goes out.
Yep.
Now, Fred, if you want to watch someone who does this perfectly, go to some old Fred Couples vision. So what I love seeing is you don't want to keep your right foot down. I don't think that works. You want some motion in your downswing all the time. But what I do love is I love the right foot, if you're a right-hander, getting up onto the instep early. So you don't need to go with both knees, but I love seeing this move with just one knee, which is your back knee. And what this does is if you roll onto the instep so your heel doesn't come off the ground straight away, that keeps your leg and it also keeps your hips a little more quiet, and that gives you that little bit extra time for the arms to come down in front.
I like it. So your right leg remains nice and long on the transition rather than bending.
So I don't mind that as well. I don't mind that the way you spoke about that as well.
Okay.
Now, eventually the heel comes up.
Yeah, of course.
But it doesn't come up straight away. And I took a little bit of footage of Denny McCarthy today. I'm going to show you, Nick.
Okay.
Because it's what I see you wouldn't see. But they had this beautiful slow-mo. There he is. Just push.
Oh, yes. Oh, how quiet's that? Beautiful.
So I'm going to tweet that out as well. So eventually it comes up.
So much room, though, isn't it?
So much room through impact. Anyway.
We'll get that on the socials.
We'll definitely get that on the socials. But if you're having trouble, like I said, if you feel like you're getting stuck or if you feel like you're spinning out or if you feel like just trying something new, this could be just for you. So roll onto that right instep as your first move, and away you go.
Beautiful.
See how you go. I'm actually going to try and do it too.
Me too, because I always get stuck on the downswing myself. Yeah, a little bit. I get flippy with the hands. So
yeah, me too. Me too. There's 1,000 reasons why. There's 1,000 reasons why you can get flippy, and maybe this will help you for a week or so. Who knows? It's a crazy game. Good to see you, Nick.
And you, Mark.
And thanks for telling me about Rose Zhang too.
You are welcome.
Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen's podcast, Talk Birdie to Me. Live from the Australian Golf Centre, home of the PGA of Australia and Golf Australia. Big thanks to Harley from WA, jumped on the pod today and had a chat to us. Thanks, mate. Oh, and don't forget to check out Harley's podcast, Better Golf Tips. Sounds like a ripper. We'll have a listen. Got a question or comment for Nick or Mark? Let us know on the socials and we'll get you on the show. Talk Birdie to Me's executive producer is Dan Bradley at Kaizen Media.